Hello, filmmakers, film fans, sponsors, attendees, and social media followers. Welcome to the December 2020 episode of Filmmaker in Focus from the Maine Outdoor Film Festival. The Maine Outdoor Film Festival is a 10-day international festival of adventure, conservation, and the arts, held every summer in Portland, Maine. After the Portland event, the MOFF Selects Tour brings MOFF's best outdoor adventure short films to venues all over the Northeast in the late summer and fall. So we'll see you in Portland on July 29 to August 8, 2021, or at a theater or outdoor venue in your neck of the woods shortly thereafter. Hi, I'm Maine Outdoor Film Festival Director Nick Callanan. In this episode of Filmmaker in Focus, we're going to check out Recycled to Ride by Anna Wilder Burns and Jack Bouchard, and we're going to talk to Anna via Zoom after the film. But first, a few quick updates on MOFF 2021. With the pandemic still raging in the United States, we're going to plan to hold all of our events outdoors again in 2021. So bring your own camp chair and face mask, and with social distancing and crowd limits, we're confident we'll be able to hold safe, in-person events again in 2021, just like we did this year. Attention filmmakers, the Maine Outdoor Film Festival submission window is open. We'll have more cash prizes for award-winning films than ever before, so cruise on over to the MOFF Film Freeway page for more information. In personnel news, MOFF has hired Andrea Nilasek as sponsorship coordinator and Kyle Walton as digital director. These two Maine natives have years of experience in film and in film festivals, and our festival is stronger for it. Welcome aboard, Andrea and Kyle. Finally, MOFF is proud to support Teens to Trails, a Brunswick-based nonprofit that works to connect high school students to life-changing outdoor experiences. Find out more at teenstotrails.org. Now, MOFF is proud to present Recycled to Ride by Jack Bouchard and Anna Wilder Burns. Stay tuned after the film for a conversation with Miss Burns about the film. Enjoy.
Surfing to me is it's really kind of a therapeutic activity. I always find myself escaping a lot of my personal and life issues sitting out there. It allows you to focus on something that's totally disconnected from anything that might be troubling you. It really just is a release. It's a great form of therapy for me. That's the way I look at it. My interest in sustainability and the environment is kind of stemmed back to how we make things and the detriment that they cause to our environment. Whether it's dinner or a surfboard, it's all relative to me. I built one fin for my brother-in-law as a Christmas gift, and after I built that, I was sort of hooked on the process. Conceptualizing is my favorite part of the design process because it allows me to play with materials, consider different materials, and then come up with a solution. Driving around, looking around, seeing cups littering the streets and Dunkin' Donuts on every corner, I just kind of went all in and said, I need to come up with 1,000 cups to build a board. And at one particular beach cleanup, my daughter and I collected a bucket full of debris, and over 90% of it was fishing gear. I decided I wanted to try to raise awareness of that problem and tackle building a board out of lobster buoys. Building these things and using them myself is a trip in itself, but I was blown away that it actually worked. Like I stood up on my first wave and it closed out in front of me, but I was like, whoa, it works. So that was pretty exciting. I built this thing just sort of out of stubbornness and I'm sort of a glutton for punishment when it comes to building things like this. I have an idea, I like to just kind of get into it and see where it goes, and I'm not going to stop until it's done. I made it to raise awareness of the waste that we use every day, and that's more important to me than anything, is that people see it and they question where all the cups came from, and they question where all the cups go. Building the Duncan board and the lobster buoy board were about this challenge to find waste that you see around you and build something that's usable for surfing. And that sort of brings a much more massive concept of awareness to a surfer and to a shaper. It's changed the way I live my life on a daily basis. It's changed the way I look at building things. It's changed the way I look at where stuff comes from. The ocean itself is it's the heart of why there's life on Earth. It's just kind of an eerie time we're in, and being a dad and being sure that the things that I like to do are going to be something that if my kids choose to do them as well, that they'll be able to. Within the scope of my ability to understand, to think that the way we enjoy the outdoors and the way that we enjoy surfing and snowboarding, it's questionable as to whether or not it's going to be the same forever.
All right, I hope you folks enjoyed the film. I certainly did. Now we're going to join Anna Burns for a interview, and we're just going to kind of slide into her office over here. Anna, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And thanks for having us here in your office. We appreciate that through the magic of
bedroom.
magic of technology. Yeah, don't mean to intrude. Well, let's talk about Recycle to Write for a second. What were your roles on that excellent short film?
Thank you. That was fun. So that was just me and my friend at school, Jack, who's a surfer. I surf too. He's a lot better than me. He's like a surfer. I would say I surf occasionally. And so we just like met through some mutual friends, and I had just been wanting to do kind of like my first project that wasn't like a UNHE sports like highlight video. Like I wanted to do my first kind of like documentary film. And so I was talking to him about like how it would be really cool to do something on surfers in the winter in New Hampshire, because I feel like that's kind of like a cool thing that like people surf in like Maine and New Hampshire in the winter. And so, yeah, we just kind of like started like pulling together all the people we knew and figured out that we had a connection to Corey, who is like this super cool guy who like makes surfboards out of trash. And I really like having a kind of conservation element to stuff. So it was just like perfect. And yeah, we just kind of ran with it. We made it this past spring. So yeah, we were still in school and doing sports, and it was a lot, but it was fun.
Yeah. So where were you DP, or what were your roles in the film?
So I kind of took on like a director. It was just me and Jack. So like we didn't really have like rigid like roles, I would say, and that's kind of like how I do like working that way. So I directed. He's story, like he did a lot of this. He helped with a lot of story. But I would say like I definitely directed it. I edited it mostly. We were gonna edit it together, and then COVID happened and we had to go home. And so we ended up editing it, like we had some like screen share, like Zoom sessions we did, but it like was really slow. So I mostly edited it. He did some of the like more funky kind of like photo collage stuff. He did all the like 35mm photo. I shot everything that wasn't in the water, and then he shot everything in the water. So yeah, that was
cool. So that seems like a fairly natural division of labor, if you will.
Yeah. So.
What's been the response of the film?
It was honestly a lot better than I like thought. I just like made it for fun. I didn't have too many expectations with it. We also like only, because of COVID, we only got to shoot with Corey twice, and we originally were gonna kind of like keep going surfing with him like throughout the spring, etc. But like we shot the interview and him in his like shop, and then we shot one time surfing, and that was it. And so it was kind of like hard to, we had to like kind of get creative with like how much B-roll we needed that we didn't have, which I feel like made me nervous about if people were gonna like it or not. But I think it turned out awesome, and yeah, it did really well. I mean, I did not expect to get any like award or even any like festival like acceptance from it, and we did. So it was like really special, especially because it was like a very New England film, and we got like kind of the best result in those like New England festivals. So yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that you had actually shot it during COVID,
Yeah.
which makes it all the more,
Well, before
successful.
we shot it before COVID, we made the rest of it during COVID.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
right, okay. But still, I mean, just the fact that, like, by necessity, you had to become the only editor.
Yeah, yeah. And like while doing,
Yeah.
I mean, we were both still finishing school. I was graduating. It was like very busy, but I'm glad we did it. We kind of like had some moments where we were like, I don't know, like, do we even want to finish this? Like, maybe not. And then I'm really glad we did.
Yeah, me too. What was, what was your favorite part of making that film, whether it was a moment in production or a message that became from the finished work?
None of the boards were built like while we were telling the story. It was kind of like a reflective story. And so it was like a challenge to kind of like, how are we going to make this interesting? And like, he just came to us with so much like wisdom about sustainability and what the boards mean for that. And just like having that just come together. I remember we were editing and I was kind of feeling like meh about like the script of the storyline. And then I was like playing through it. I like chopped one thing, and all of a sudden it just was like that, like we had it. And I was like, whoa, like that's like beautiful. I think it's cool when like you almost don't know what the story is going to be until you're editing it, and then you edit it and it like, you're like, wow, I didn't think that's where it was going to go, but it's cool.
I also want to say that I thought it was very prescient the way it was ended, the way the film ends with, the idea that snowboarding and surfing may not be the same, and then here we are with no ability to use a lodge, in the very year that you're releasing this. And I mean, I know Corey's thought wasn't necessarily, couched in the era of a pandemic, but it was a very apropos ending. Did you consider that as you chose that as your ending line?
I mean, we definitely weren't thinking about COVID, because we literally edited this like March, like when we still thought this was gonna end soon, like when we still thought this was gonna be like chill in like 3 weeks. Like I think I still thought I was like going back to college. Like I think I still thought I like had graduation. Like, so we weren't really thinking about like that way of it not being the same. I think I chose it because it was kind of like, it posed that question at the end that like would hopefully sit with someone and be like, oh wow, like I wonder if like in 10 years, like I'm even gonna be able to go skiing in like Maine in January. Like maybe we'll just have to make all the snow, like that kind of thing. I think climate change is something unlike COVID where it's equally as catastrophic, but it's a lot slower of a burn. And so I think with COVID making snowboarding and skiing very different, and I mean surfing for a little bit, like no one could, like they weren't letting you surf, like, which is, I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, I think COVID kind of hopefully rocked people into be like, oh, like my world can change quickly. And I hope more people will realize that with climate change, it's the exact same way. It's just not, you don't notice it maybe in your everyday commute to work yet.
Yeah, no, well said. Do you feel like your work is here to help people make better decisions around like the environment, for example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think film and just like generally media in general has so much power to like change things. the first documentary film I ever watched that I was like in awe of was The Cove, and it's a documentary about like a dolphin trade in Japan. It's like super heartbreaking and sad, but it was like kind of the first time because I've always really been passionate about the environment and animals and all of that stuff. And so seeing that, I was like, I'm super bad at science, like really bad at science. So I was like, oh, I like want to do like something to help like the world, but like I suck at chemistry. So I think that was like really cool and kind of something I've always tried to strive for is like kind of more of like an impact filmmaking lens. Kind of just anything that I can find that, yes, it like maybe is for a brand. Like maybe you can put a logo on it and like help that happen, but at the same time, hopefully always having some greater impact or like inspire someone. And I think that that's like the coolest thing about branded content kind of is that you can have a brand that wants to further their brand message, whatever it is, or put their products out there and show that they work well out in the mountains or whatever. But it's also really cool that a brand can come to you and want to help push your goal of making a difference on as well. I don't know. I think that's cool. Watch the stuff you like and like figure out why you like it, and then take those things, like implement it into your own stuff and just like keep making things. And like eventually like it would, like if you just keep practicing and teaching yourself new things and making new things, people take notice, and like eventually you can definitely like turn it into like a career. At least that's what I'm trying to do right now. I would say to anyone who's like just out of college, like trying to do this, like just take everything that you get offered and just try to be a sponge and like learn as much as possible. And then like once you know kind of what you want, like what stories you want to focus on or what industry you want to focus on, like you'll know, I think.
Anna, it was so nice to chat with you, and thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Of course, you as well. I hope I'm looking in the right direction.
Oh, you were, Anna. Thank you. And thank you for watching the first episode of MOFF Monthly, especially if you made it this far. Keep an eye out for the future episodes on our Vimeo channel and our other social media, and we'll see you in 2021. Stay safe out there.